Hey guys, I'm Theobald Hedman and you're watching Southern Ingenuity. In this video, I'm going to be doing a kitchen renovation for a dear, sweet little lady that I've known all my life. And this is going to be the first in a series of videos on this. So if you'd like to see the complete renovation, make sure you click the subscribe button and the notifications bell. The purpose of this renovation is to increase the accessibility to this lady's pots, pans, dishes, and small appliances. Now, she's not a very tall woman, and thus she has some difficulty when it comes to reaching things that's in the upper cabinets. So in this first video, I'll be removing this countertop and these upper and lower cabinets and replacing it all with an enclosed shelving area. You thought I was going to do it, didn't you? No. I always thought that was the stupidest thing in those home improvement shows. There's a better way. But if all else fails, then maybe. Tearing out cabinets with a sledgehammer or an axe may make for good television, but it's a terrible thing to do if you're wanting to salvage any of the material. Things like the molding, trim, and this countertop are perfectly good and can be reused. In fact, in part 2 of this video series, I'll be repurposing this countertop to make a storage table unit that has a small pull-out eating table. Now, I will say this about those home improvement shows. Those guys are really good at what they do and they're fast. They can do an entire remodel in 30 minutes or an hour. It usually takes me a couple weeks. Now, here's why I think it's ridiculous to tear out cabinets with a sledgehammer. Usually, all you've got to do is remove a few screws and the section comes out in one piece. This virtually eliminates any collateral damage to the home's interior. And if the cabinets are still in decent shape, you can repurpose them, or donate them to a local thrift store so that someone else can get some use out of them. That dear, sweet little lady that I mentioned earlier is in fact my mama, and this is the home that I grew up in. This gentleman is my daddy, the greatest man I've ever known. And he was all about DIY before DIY was cool. Together, he and my mom taught me and my brother the value of hard work and integrity, to take pride in our work, and to make sure that everything we do is done right to the best of our ability. With the cabinets removed and out of the way, I then removed the old paneling. This is to make it easier to locate the studs and reroute the electrical wiring. I'm going to be going back with 1/2-inch plywood for greater strength and stability. But before I forget, I'm going to mark the location of each stud at the ceiling and the floor. In case you're wondering why those studs are 2x2s instead of 2x4s, and why there's outdated linoleum and shag carpet on the floor, it's because this is the kitchen area of a mid-1970s model single-wide mobile home. Now, the home has undergone numerous renovations over the years, including the addition of 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a living room on the back side of the home. It was all then covered under a single roof, and the mobile home's aluminum exterior was replaced with plywood. The entire home was then covered with vinyl siding to give it the appearance of a more traditional stick-built home. In a partial kitchen renovation years ago, I removed, relocated, and replaced the original kitchen sink with this much nicer, vintage double washboard unit. I also removed some of the old bottom cabinets and built these bottom cabinets in their place. I installed a dishwasher, and a local contractor installed the countertops. If you've watched my videos before, then you probably know I often use scrap or salvage material in my projects. A friend and neighbor of mine gave me this 1/2-inch plywood, some of which is in near perfect condition. Years ago, he had bought it to cover the floor of another old mobile home that he and some of his biker buddies were using as a clubhouse. When he decided to demolish the old building, he let me have all of it that I wanted for free. All I had to do was take it up and bring it home. So I'm going to send a big shout out to Mr. Melvin. Thanks for the plywood. We begin cutting the materials that are going to become the walls and the exterior framing of the shelving unit. Then I make a T-shaped stud for the left rear corner of the new addition. It will provide support for this small section of paneling and sheetrock, as well as for the plywood on the back and left side walls. When completed, the new shelving area will extend out to a point about in the center of this receptacle. I'm going to have to relocate it a short distance to the right, but for now, I'm just going to remove the receptacle and reconnect the wires. I'll come back to this later. I'll also be relocating an existing outlet, tapping into it, and running a new wire for a new outlet. This new outlet will be to provide power for a small flat screen television. After sanding the plywood down smooth, I begin constructing the base for the cabinet. Drilling 1/2 inch diameter holes about halfway through this 2x4 allows me to securely anchor it to the floor using 3-inch long decking screws. Well, now I got to give a shout out to my buddy Josh. He gave me this 3/4 inch cabinet grade plywood that he no longer needed, and he didn't even charge me for the artwork. Thank you, Josh. Doubling up on the bottom shelf thickness will provide a more secure anchoring platform to which to attach the studs. After installing the electrical outlets, we begin assembling the walls. The plywood exterior is going to be covered with 1/4 inch thick beadboard paneling painted green. The interior will be painted white, and the shelves inside will be 12 inches deep. Next, I install the interior shelf partition. It, along with the shelves and the ledger boards, are all made from the 3/4 inch cabinet grade plywood that I mentioned earlier. While under the close supervision of Sunshine the cat, I cut the shelves to length. Then I take them to the backyard to give them a coat of paint. The ledger boards are tacked into place using a brad nailer. This is a quick and easy way to accurately locate and hold them in position until they can be secured to the studs with drywall screws. After getting all of the shelves into position, I secure each one to the ledgers using the brad nailer. This ties everything together and dramatically increases the strength and stability of the entire unit. Here, I'm reusing some of the molding and trim that I salvaged earlier. With a little bit of touch-up paint, it'll look just as good as new. In an older home like this, you'll often find that the home has settled and that the walls and floors are no longer perfectly plumb or level. Here, I'm having to cut a piece of the beadboard paneling on an angle in order to get the proper fit for installation. Now, my mama told me not to show her in the final video, and the last time I didn't do it, she said, she whooped me. So, yeah, I'm not making that mistake again. With some careful planning and creative cutting, we were able to cover the exterior with just one 4x8 sheet of beadboard paneling. Well, it turns out I didn't have enough wire to be able to move the receptacle far enough out of the way, so I had to trim a small piece from the cover to get it to fit. Well, what do you know? I got the first part of this renovation done in about 13 minutes. I guess those home improvement show guys ain't got nothing on me after all. Now don't forget, in part 2 of this series, I'll be repurposing that old countertop to make a storage table unit with a small pull-out eating table. So until next time, I'm Theobald Hedman. Thanks for watching Southern Ingenuity.